Catch 'em all.
Hey guys, PokeDan here. So, I don't know if you guys keep up with the Pokemon news, but supposedly the next games we'll be getting will be Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Now, it's rumored that in these games we'll also be returning to Kanto. And this sparked a lot of conversation. Remember guys, this is all just speculation and that nothing is confirmed, but with all the talk of which region and Pokemon game is the best, that inspired me to make my very own video talking about which Pokemon games are my personal favourite. Okay, so for this video, I've not included any remakes. So all of these games, I won't be talking about. Also, even though I'm ranking the worst to best, I personally don't think any Pokemon games are bad. But the games that are on the bottom of this list, they just aren't my personal favourite games. So if you don't agree with my personal order, be sure to let me know yours down in the comment section. Let's get started with the video. Okay, so making it at the bottom of the list of Pokemon games is the original Gen 1 trio, being Pokemon Red, Blue and Yellow. Now, it was pretty hard for me to put these games any higher up on the list considering I haven't played them. So for this entry, I had to break my rule and I had to compare them to the Gen 1 remakes. Now, I understand that not everything between the originals and the remakes are the same and that Yellow isn't included in the remakes, but hey, it's the closest I could get to actually judging the Kanto games. So, it'll have to do. I think one of the main reasons why these games make the bottom of this list is because, well, they were the first Pokemon games. At this point in Pokemon's history, the franchise wasn't really established and there were quite a few glitches found in the games. But this isn't necessarily so bad because in future games, Pokemon improved on these mistakes. Another thing I have to nitpick about with the Kanto region is that the region itself isn't very diverse. By this I mean that all the towns and cities were pretty similar, and they weren't much different, and again, I understand that due to the capabilities of the franchise at this time, we couldn't have anything too outrageous, but it's still a negative I'm afraid. I know I put these games at the bottom of the list, but remember, I don't think these games are bad, they just aren't my personal favourites. Okay, so up next, I want to talk about the Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald games. Now, I know this might come as a bit of a surprise because a lot of people love these games, but for me, even though I do like them, they aren't my favourites. In my opinion, I think the Hoenn region was pretty fun to play through, but it wasn't anything too thrilling for me. Most characters introduced in the Hoenn games were pretty great, but one character that was a pretty big letdown for me was the rival. The rival for these games was either Brendan or May, and personally, I don't think these trainers had a lot of personality. I mean, Wally was also kind of a rival in these games, but he wasn't exactly the most confident of battlers. Even though I seem to be bashing on the rivals, the Hoenn games did introduce some awesome characters. Characters like Steven Stone and Wallace. Also, another thing that I liked about the Hoenn region was that we had the addition of some amazing Pokemon, and a lot of them turned out to be fan favourites. The story of these games was also pretty decent, but I don't think it was anything too amazing. If I did include the remakes of Pokemon games in this video, I think ORAS would have pushed Hoenn up a little bit further on this list, due to the improvements that were made on the Hoenn region. But since I'm not including them because not all the games have been remade, Hoenn remains at this point on the list. Making the top 5 of all Pokemon games are Pokemon Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And even though I think these games are all pretty good, and I was hyped for their releases, I still have a few things about the games that I really don't love. Firstly, I want it to be said that I really enjoyed the story of these games. But one problem I found was that because the story was so engaging, I really couldn't be bothered to replay the games. And I know I'm not alone here because some of my friends have also said the same thing. There's also another problem I have with the story, and for this, I'm referring to the story of Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I understand that these games weren't meant to be 100% different from Sun and Moon, but I think the story was just way too similar to the original games, and it only slightly changed to fit in the addition of the Ultra Recon Squad and Ultra Beasts. Saying that, I did enjoy the after game and the addition of Team Rainbow Rocket, and also some of the new features introduced in the Alola games. I'm talking about features such as Poké Ride and Z-moves. Maybe if I made this video a year or two later, Alola would be higher up on the list, but right now, I'm kinda fed up of these games. Coming up next are the Gen 2 games. I'm talking about Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Now, I gotta be honest here, I've only recently played Pokemon Silver, but I gotta say, this game was a hoot. Okay, bad pun. Anyway, what's great about all of these games is that you don't only get the chance to explore the Johto region, but at the end of the game, you also get to return to Kanto to see what's changed. Even though the Johto games didn't introduce as many Pokemon as other games, the Pokemon that they did give us were just pure quality. Chinchou. Personally, I don't think the Johto region itself was anything too amazing, but there were some towns and cities that were really unique. Also, let's not forget that Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal introduced some features that are still really important to the franchise to this day. Some features like this include breeding and the day and night system. So yeah, even though these games are often overlooked, I think they're still amazing and pretty crucial to the franchise. So taking the bronze medal this time around, and my third favourite Pokemon games are Pokemon X and Y. These games were the first Pokemon games to come to the 3DS system, and even though the whole 3D aspect of the games wasn't so great, the Kalos region itself was pretty fun to explore. Just like Johto, Kalos didn't introduce a lot of new Pokemon, but again, some of the Pokemon they did give us were just amazing. And if anything, the lack of new Pokemon also gave us the chance to give some older ones a try. Another great thing about Kalos is how diverse the region is. Not only did we have a lot of new and different places to explore, but some of the scenery in these games was just beautiful. Another thing I really liked about Pokemon X and Y was the story of the games was really fun, even if Team Flare's plans didn't make loads of sense. If I had to say one negative thing about these games, it's that they didn't really give us a lot of things to do after completing the main story. There are tons more great things about Pokemon X and Y, but if I spoke about them all individually, I'd be here till the next Pokemon game gets released. So, let's move on. Coming up next, and my second favourite of all the Pokemon games, are Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Now, a lot of you guys probably thought that this would be my number one choice, but well, they're not. But they're still really awesome games. These Pokemon games were the first I've ever played, and when I was younger, exploring the Sinnoh region for the first time, I had a fun playthrough. Sinnoh was one of those regions that didn't introduce a lot of new Pokemon. But again, it was a region that gave us some fan favourite Pokemon, and some of my personal favourites come from this region. Another thing I really enjoy about the Sinnoh games, apart from its Pokédex, is the story of the games. Sinnoh's story follows the protagonist on their journey to take down the evil Team Galactic. And I honestly think these games have some of the best story out of any Pokemon game. Okay, so I've been really positive about Sinnoh, but like every region, it has its flaws. One of the worst things about the Sinnoh region is that in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, the game's pace was really slow. This was fixed in Pokemon Platinum, but hey, it's still something that a lot of people complain about to this day. So yeah, the Sinnoh games come in at this spot on the list. Let's see what games take first place. Okay, so far you've heard me give my opinion on all the Pokemon games. But out of any of them, my favourite games have to be Pokemon Black, White, Black 2, and White 2. I was feeling a little bit iffy about where to put these games on the list. I knew I loved all these games, but something that's different about Pokemon Black 2 and White 2 than, let's say, Pokemon Emerald, is that they aren't just follow-up games. They give a completely new story. So in that sense, they aren't really the same game. But at the end of the day, they all still rep the Unova region. Something all these games have in common is that they all have a great story. Yes, they are similar, but they really differ at parts. But I guess the main plot is just to take down Team Plasma. Another thing I really liked about the Unova games is that they gave us some really awesome characters. Characters like Colrus, N, Juniper, and just so many more. If I had to say something negative about the Unova games, it's that they introduced a lot of crappy Pokemon. Don't get me wrong, I know that all regions have some Pokemon that aren't very good, but because Unova gave us so many new Pokemon, a lot more of them seem to be not so great. I think the saying quality over quantity is true, and it feels like Unova should have focused more on the quality of some of these Pokemon, rather than introducing more of them. But yeah, apart from that, I think the Unova games were all superb, and yeah, they're my favourite out of all the Pokemon games. But anyway guys, with all that being said, that pretty much wraps things up for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Also, be sure to let me know what your favourite Pokemon games are down in the comments section. But with all that being said, for now, I've been PokeDan, you've been amazing, and I'll see you guys next time.